Hi, and welcome to a little bit different of a video. I wanted to go back and look at how I used to read books and how I read books now. And I kind of find it very interesting that I started like fully tracking the books I was reading in the middle of 2020. Clearly, I was doing this during COVID, during lockdown for COVID. And so I remember bits and pieces of it. I don't have good memory anyway, but I remember bits and pieces of like how I was doing and why I was doing certain things and what my reasoning was behind some things. So I just thought it would be interesting if we looked through my Google Drive at the way I used to read versus how I read now. Okay, so all I did was open the folder in the drive that I have listed as authors and books. And first of all, there is a reason why it says authors. So let me see if I can find that reason. Okay, here we go. I have quite a few that say author tracker. It's probably this one that's authors and books. So let me start with this. Okay, so this says notes updated November 13th of 2022. And I've done this for a very long time. And I actually stopped it now. Like I don't do this anymore. But anyway, I used to do this. So on the left side here, we have their name, the author's name. Let me just make this bigger. We have the author's name right here. And then the colors, just so you know, are this blue color if I'm going to be listening to it on audio. And then usually green meant Kindle. So it was just blue and green. Either I was going to do audio or I was going to do Kindle because I didn't have a lot of physical books. So I have right here, Joe Abercrombie. We'll just look at an example, okay? I would like to listen to his on audio, which is why I wrote Find on Audio for his books. And I have the First Law World books, the ones I'm reading next. And then he has a series called the Shattered Sea series that I want to read. And so I put the title here, and where it says where, I made it blue because I want to read them on audio. And then all the names of the series is over here. Then we have Lissa K. Adams, who writes the Bromance Book Club books. And it looks like the next one on my list is Isn't It Bromantic? And then what I wrote out here was the last one I read was Crazy Stupid Bromance. Although now I've read all of them and I'm caught up. I also have A Very Merry Bromance, but apparently I already owned Isn't It Bromantic on Audible, and I made a little note that says buy all of hers on Audible. But then we get to Annabeth Albert, and I have so many of her books listed here. You can see all the way down to here are her books. And I went through Kindle Unlimited and wrote down all the ones that I could get on Kindle Unlimited. And then apparently I was going to buy the rest on Kindle, but I read all of hers on Kindle. So that is very interesting. Anyway, I have a lot of authors on here. Like I said, I'm not going down everybody, but I have so many. Oh, apparently Audible Plus, I changed to a different color. I do not enjoy looking at that color. It makes my eyes hurt. But just looking at, even in 2022, the number of books that I was doing on Kindle as opposed to just audio, which it feels like I do now, the difference is really a lot. So there's a lot. We go all the way to right here. Alice Winters is the last one. And I wrote, I last read How to Vex a Vampire in December of 2020. And so the next one is How to Elude a Vampire. I can't believe that I've not gone back to this series and I read it in 2020 because I enjoyed it so much. But maybe because it's on KU, I just haven't gone back to it. And then we have Maisie Dobbs. I last read Maisie Dobbs in April of 2021. I have now read all of these. I just finished Among the Mad. So these are all done. I could just even put a note right here that says I read Among the Mad it was October of 2024 this month. So anyway, Here's Andy Weir. I read Project Hail Mary and I was like, I want to read more of his stuff. I have since read The Martian. I've still not read Artemis. So I don't know if I want to do anything with this because these are still authors. I'm sure there's still a lot of authors that I want to read more books from. But unless I go back to reading more physically and on my Kindle, I don't know how I'm going to get back to some of these authors because some of them are only on Kindle and some of them write shorter, like easy to read romances. And I don't want to spend money buying them on Audible and they're not available on my Kindle. I mean, on Libby. And that is another thing you will notice. There's no Libby books because that's not a thing that I was doing. So let's look at the other things on this list. First of all, these are new authors. So these are my authors that I've read from before and that I want to continue with. That's what's on this list. You don't make it on this tab unless I want to continue with you. Then we have new authors, and these are anything that I have seen anywhere. You can see out to the side, like I got this one from a 2021 new releases thing. I got this one for a supernatural mystery for Blackathon that someone suggested, and I've actually already read it. I've read this one and this one and this one and this one. I could go through here and mark off some of the ones because I used this list to create my want to read list over on storygraph. So I know I've read some. See, I put middle grade fiction, World War II historical fiction. I've not read that. And then I have like when it's being released, because apparently I did this in 2021 and some of them are new releases for that year. And then I also color coordinated it again. So I'm getting it on audio. This one, it says I already own it. I've still not read it. It says it's in my audio library. This one right here, Blackathon, a detective mystery, has no audio, so I wrote that out beside there. I said Liz and Sarah are taking one of his books and adapting it to TV. That must be a podcast that I used to listen to. Huh. Okay, well, I've read that book so far, and I still haven't heard anything about his stuff being made into a TV series. Anyway, this is a free first read, and it's a thriller. I still haven't read it. This is a When in Romance recommendation. I wrote it down. And then I have this whole thing. So these were all recommended by Naya she's on YouTube. Bookish Realm listed BIPOC authors, and I have a bunch of those listed here. Science Mama, which that's not even her channel anymore, but she recommended these. Jamila in an unboxing recommended this. The Nerdy Narrative put this on her TBR. So there's just so many over here. Goodreads Black History Month female mystery books. I got all of those off of that Goodreads thing. There's a Goodreads YA mystery and thriller list. Peace Love Books recommended stuff. Bow Ties and Books. It's called Naya Reads and Smiles. I don't even know that I watch her videos anymore. Anyway, so I just wrote it down over here where I got it from, and I would just stick it back in here. I love right here. I wrote, everyone is talking about this. Nalini Singh, Slave to Temptation. Who did I think everyone was? Anyway, Books Like Whoa, probably. It was Mara at Books Like Whoa. And then I have all of these that came in an eBay order because I bought one of those boxes, which was so stupid because I have since donated like every one of these books because I don't read. A lot of them were like old. Anyway, no, I don't like them. Then I got some nonfiction suggestions from Lou from Eat, Sleep, RV, Repeat. I love their channel. So I got these recommendations from Lou. I haven't read any of those, I don't think. And then down here, I had more new releases that were coming out in 2021 as well. Or when did I do this? Yes, 2021. Then I would put them over here on this side if I read from them and decided that either I was done or I was moving them over to my author list. So right here for Ben, let me go up. For Ben Acker and Ben Blacker, I read Cut and Run, and I decided it was on Audible, and occasionally I would get their stuff. But then the next two, Lauren Blakely and Reese Bowen, are moving to regular authors. Then this one, Allie Carter, I didn't like it not moving to regular authors. Harper Fox, I will not be moving to regular authors. So This one right here, I even said good, but not moving. So if I liked them, I would move them over to regular authors to that tab. If not, that's where they stayed. And then right here, Isabella Maldonado, I said, add her right now. I love it because I have 2 of her series in my 50 before 50 list right now. Django came to say hi. Hello. We're going down a really big rabbit hole, Django, of how my life used to be. I have a little gap where I finished reading. These are the ones I finished reading. And then I started adding more because I needed a space to add more up here. But I kind of wanted to say, okay, that's all cut off right there. So I started down here, going through, adding them, how I wanted to read them. And also up here, I wasn't putting them into how I thought I would read them. Down here, I went through and added them into how I thought I would read them, which transitioned into another way that I now keep up with my books, which is like this. So I have books on Audible, books on Everand, which is short because I don't go look on Everand unless I'm about to read a book. Books on Libby, this one is pretty short as well because it's really just books that I found. I've actually already read that and that and that. Okay. So this is books that I found when I was looking for stuff on another thing and I just didn't put them on there. And then I was going to color coordinate the month that I read them, which is January for this color, February for this color, March for this color. So you can see that I made it January and February and that was all. So this is Chirp books that I own. And then this books at the top are Kindle Unlimited books that I have checked out. And then these are Kindle books that I own. The last time I counted, there was 178 of them. It just keeps going to right there. And that's a lot for me to say that I don't read books on my Kindle or whatever. And then I have the graphic novels that I own and then physical books that I own, which has not been updated since I did my last 2 book hauls. So that's got to be updated as well. And I don't even own A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon anymore because I read it and then I took it to the library to donate. So I don't know which one I liked better. This one was definitely easier for me to add books as I was watching somebody, like a video that somebody was doing. But now I just go add it to my Goodreads. Like this was before I was really using Goodreads as well. So this was kind of my way of keeping up with everything that I wanted to read and my favorite authors, which I still like this over here. But I feel like it would require a lot of upkeep. And it did take a lot of time for me to look up all these authors, get all their books in here, but I just don't know, like I don't remember being annoyed by how long this took, and the thought of doing it again right now is kind of annoying to me. So I don't know what that says about me or the way I've changed since I started doing this, but there's a lot of these that I have read more of, but this is also how I would pick my books. So let's go back over here and look at the way I would pick them. So I'm actually just going to go back and look. I'm not going to look at February of 2020 because apparently I just made a list of books. But in May of 2020, I actually started writing my thoughts. I love this. This book was pretty annoying to me. So this was me like writing. There's probably spoilers in here, by the way. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't read it. But I wanted to be able to go back and find this book when I got ready to read the next book and see if, know what was happening in the series so I was ready to go on. I did say I'm going to try another one of her books from a different series and then maybe I'll read the next one in this one, but it isn't free and I'm not sure it's going to be good enough to pay for it. And I like Shayla Black. Now, I guess when I read more books from her, I liked them. Anyway, I know that if I highlighted it in blue, that means I listened on audio. And if it's in green, that means that I read it either physically or on my Kindle. Okay, I love this so much. This is definitely how I used to feel. And I'm still pretty much there. I stopped reading this because the story of Willow and Saint is 3 books long and I can't stand books like that. Tell it in 1 book, please. Also, it was first person, and I also don't like those at all. I've gotten much better about first person. I still stand by my tell it in 1 book, please. If your relationship takes multiple books to tell, I don't want to read about it. I don't care about it. No. Here we go. This one right here. I've already read this book, but I didn't really remember much of it, so I'm starting this series again. It's really good. I like the world, and I'm excited about reading more in this world. It also helps that Ryan West is reading the audio version, and I love him reading books. That is still true today. I love Ryan West reading. I didn't know this was a complaint I ever had. This was a really short book that just had way too much sex. Like, I don't remember that ever being an issue in any book that I've read. She set up the characters at first, and I really liked the main female, but then it just went straight in and didn't develop the characters very much after that. I'm going to continue with the series because I want to see more character development. So maybe this first book is just first book issues, and it'll get better with more writing. And then I have a May wrap up. I love revisiting some of my previous series that I've read and also a lot of the new ones that I recently discovered. It was a really good reading month, even though I feel like I've been hiding away and doing nothing but reading and apparently listening to audiobooks. I was reading way more on Kindle before this month, so we'll see what June brings. Okay, so maybe my audio pickup or like increase started in June. I'm going to go back and count how many books I read in the month of May on here because I just want to compare it to 2020 to now, and let's see. I read 24 books and I wasn't doing a readathon. I wasn't doing anything. I was just living my life and reading these books. I didn't have a booktube channel. I didn't have anything. And I was just reading these books. So I find that fascinating. Let me add that stat to the top of this page since I officially just counted them. I read 24 books in May of 2020. I'm kind of shocked by that. I knew that I was reading a lot of books. I've always, as an adult, read a lot of books. And I figured I was averaging somewhere around 200 books a year. But that comes out to like a little less than 20 a month, I think, if I did that quick math in my head correctly. So I don't know. That's very interesting to me. Okay, so then let's see the last time I did this. It looks like August of 2022, I did it in September. I technically did it in October and November, but those pages look very small. Oh, I did it in December again. Let's see how I did this. Because by then I had a channel, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I for sure had a channel. So this is my J.D. Robb books that I was reading are all right here. And then there's definitely spoilers in here. So don't look at them if you don't want to know. So I was even going back in the J.D. Robbs and like writing what was happening with them. Then I had Lottery to Haven. I said this was a disappointment. Shakedowners was a funny ride. Derelict. Okay, so I was using a different system to count points, to track how much things were. Here's the thing I was using. If they had likable and believable characters that I connected to, they got 2 points, or they could get up to 2 points. Interesting story premise is 1 point. Good writing that kept me engaged and bonus for funny was up to 2 points. Nice pacing and flow of the story up to 2. Good satisfying ending. Grammar or wording issues, if there were none of them, they got 1 point. And world building descriptions, did they get up to 1 point. So I would go through those 7 things and then it would tell me, I would add them up. Like this one right here got 7.5 out of 10, which is a 3.75 for this derelict thing. And that's how I used to do it. Here's Murderbot. Oh, and I stopped. I started writing Murderbot and I quit. So this one is 2 pages for December. This is all I did in November. TBR picks because I was doing TBRs for my channel. Let me see. This August kind of looks like it's got a lot of stuff. So I have some carryovers because I was reading 100 books, the 100 best books or 100 books to read or something like that. So The Catcher in the Rye was on there. Listen, if you had asked me if I read this book, I would say no. And yet here's a literal description of what happened in the book. I've clearly read Catcher in the Rye just 2 years ago. Wow. The World According to Garp, I DNF'd. Okay. And then I was doing buzzwords. Okay. But the 1st through the 7th, this is when I was doing like videos and I was trying to break them down per week. So the first week I was going to do a video about the buzzword and Black Mad Wheel. So I read The Pit and the Pendulum for items and objects and Black Mad Wheel. And I just picked 2 books. Well, The Pit and the Pendulum is a story, not a book, but Then the next week was my in-depth week where I was going to read and talk about these 3. I love that at the end I wrote, Eve solves the case on all 3 of them, because of course she does. And then here's my NPR books: A Constellation of Vital Phenomenon, Delancey, and George or Melissa by Alex Greeno. I really enjoyed all of those books. Then I had Aurelium books, because I guess it was the regular Aurelium, probably a year in ALD, I think, because that was the first year, I think. And then the last, I was going to be reading Magic Steps, Street Magic, Cold Fire, and Shatterglass. I think those are all, Tamara Pierce books. So that was going to be the last of September. And then I was carrying over The Safe and Chains to be read the next time. And then I don't know why it says audio options. And then I have all these books down here listed. And ebook physical options. And I have all these. And then my September reads that I was planning to read for the next month, I put down here. October, November, December. And then yearly videos. So I was already planning the first week in each month would be buzzword. And then the second week I needed something to do. So that changed every time. And then I was always doing in-depth. Oh, I like it. This one just says squeezing things in at the end of the year. What could I read? And then right here, I was telling myself to read these books at the end of September, but they won't come out until October. So this was kind of my book tracking and my content strategies. I don't remember any of this. I remember a lot of these books, except not The Catcher in the Rye, but I do remember a lot of them. I don't know. I tried to start again in January of 2023, and you can see that I brought back my Kindle and my audio colors because I had just used them for so many years that green means Kindle to me and the blue means audio. And apparently those were the ones I was trying to do. Was on my Kindle, I wanted to read Rock Chick, and on audio, I wanted to read Song of Susanna, which is a book from the Dark Tower. So I had Dresden books that I was reading, Bookopoly books, Old Author List, which is J.D. Robb, and then there's other people on here: B.B. Alston, Earth Divers, Brandon Sanderson, Assassin's Apprentice, Festive in Death, and then extras from SPSFC. That's the self-published sci-fi competition. I was a judge at the beginning, so these are the books that I had to read for that. And then I don't know why I have one that's called Slow Read. I guess Game of Thrones and The Night Parade I was just going to read like when I could, so those were the slow reads. Anyway, that's how I started out 2023. I'm not going to go through any more of these. I think we have discovered that I clearly have changed in the way that I choose things, and it does look like, I did want to look at this. This is 100 books to read, and then it's the title and the author and the notes about it. So I have that it's a graphic novel. Read all 10 volumes, Miss Marvel. I did read a couple of them, actually. I read that one already. I read Charlotte's Web, apparently, because I love to make things bold in blue if I've read them. I read Imaginary Friend. I read An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, but I was in high school. So anyway, read them all in the lit by bit email. Okay, I don't know what that means. I have since tried to read Pride and Prejudice, and I said no, thank you. I don't want to. So there's this book of 100 books is from Bookish Realm, Ashley at Bookish Realm. She recommended her own 100 books, apparently a long time ago. And I copied them over here, and I was like, I do want to read those. So I've been working my way through some of those still, apparently. So I don't know what I wanted to accomplish with that. Thank you for going down memory lane with me. There are some things from that I do want to take forward. Like I really enjoyed, I felt like I was more connected with the authors of the stories that I was writing. And I don't mean connected as in, oh, I know that author. I mean connected as in I knew when new books were coming out from that author, and I was better about keeping up with those things and following them on Goodreads or on Fantastic Fiction. That's where I followed a lot of them. And then I get messages that say, like, you had a new book by one of your authors, and I can go see what it was. Like, I just felt like I was more connected to what I was reading than what I am now. Now it seems to just be willy-nilly all over the place. And I know part of that came from choosing TBRs and playing games, which I love to do. And so I'm still trying to think on a way to combine all the things that I like to do and decide how my next year is going to be. But this was the first step that I wanted to do in prepping for next year and thinking about the goals that I want to make as far as reading for next year. And I feel like I have been so focused on read and find the next book and find the next book and go to the next book that it's never been a read and enjoy this book that you're reading and then let's go to the next one. And I had a little bit of that before when I was reading like this. I mean, you can tell I read 24 books in a month. But I also had like a system that I liked, and I didn't have to wonder and worry, like, what am I reading next? What am I going to be picking up? It was literally like, I'm going to read these standard books that I read every time from my authors. Like, I rotate through my author list, which I love. I love a good list that I can just get to the bottom of and go right back to the top and just continue. So I loved having that. And then I would just add in extra books that people had recommended and I wanted to read. And I don't know, somewhere along the way, I lost it. I lost doing that. And so I think that trying to get back to something like a mixture maybe of the two ways of doing things will be better for me in the future. And so I have a really good grasp of the books that I own. I've done a really good job of keeping up with them on that one spreadsheet that has them either divided in audio, Audible, Chirp, Kindle, or physical, like what I own physically. And so I just need to update that a little bit. But then I also think I need to go through it and do it better because it just has titles in there right now. And it's hard to find something if something has a similar title to something else. I don't remember what it is. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know a lot of stuff about it. So I've been recently watching a channel called She Is Booked and Busy. And there is another channel called Booked and Busy. And this one is called She Is Booked and Busy. I think that is very interesting that there are two reading channels that have almost the same exact name. But I have been watching the She Is Booked and Busy, and she just has tons of wheels, and she spins a wheel for all kinds of things. And I do that like in my normal life. I spin wheels for things. And so I was like, maybe I should incorporate more wheels because I do a lot of like, I have a list of books and then I'll just count the number and ask my phone to pick a number. But I love the idea of the wheel. The problem is when I read something, I have to then go in and maintain the wheel by taking things off and adding new things on there. And I just don't know how good I'm going to be about that. But it's something to think about. It's something that I'm really trying to decide about January. So let me know if y'all are already thinking about next year's reading. I know it's weird and I'm probably doing it way too early, but I also don't want to wait until December and then go, oh my gosh, I have no goals. I haven't thought about anything. Let me just do the same thing that I did last year. Because last year's goal is not working, which was to read fewer books. I mean, it is working, but it's October. I've already way surpassed the number of books that I wanted to read for the whole year. So I need to rethink the way I think about reading. That's what I need to do. I need to have goals set around the way that I think about reading and not for actual books. Listen, if you have made it this far, leave me some kind of emoji. I don't know, something that has blue or green in it. Since apparently my two colors that I use to track everything are blue and green. And thank you so much for making it this far. Thank you for supporting me for however many years I've been doing this channel. That's another thing that I want to do is go back and find out my channel birthday and actually celebrate that every year because I have not done that in the past because I have no idea when I started. So that's going to be one of my goals for 2025 is to actually celebrate my BookTube birthday. I don't know when I started, like I said. So we'll all figure it out together. And thank you for always being the best. You guys leave the best comments and you're always so sweet and nice and supportive. And I love it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.